What a weird season it's been for the Chicago Bears, but they just keep finding a way to stack up wins. The Chicago Bears are 7-3, which is crazy to say. Uh, After defeating the Minnesota Vikings 19-17, coming down with a last-second field goal from Cairo Santos from 48 yards out. This is insane. The Bears are now winners of 6 of their last 7 games. Uh, and as I do that, I realize I'm a child. Uh, this is pretty sweet, guys. Uh, oh, wait, no, they're 7 of their last 8. 7 of their last 8. Sorry, ESPN hasn't updated. I'm an idiot. But the Bears have won 3 in a row now. They've won 7 of their last 8 games. They're 7-3. And this marks 1 possession games that the Bears have won this year. They're 5-1 in one possession games. And there's a lot to talk about from this game. It wasn't pretty. It definitely wasn't pretty. But I mean, when you're in the playoff race, I really don't care. I don't care if it's the prettiest win in the world. I don't care if it's the ugliest win in the world. If you're sitting at 7-3, that's a favorable situation going forward for the rest of the year. You have a difficult rest of the schedule, but now you can look at, all right, Steelers, Browns. If you win those 2 games, that's 9 right out of the gate. Even if you lose every single game the rest of the year, you're above 500 if you win those 2 games. Uh, and then you look at it from there. The Packers, you play the Packers twice. You play the Detroit Lions one more time. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the Packers have shown. I mean, they're obviously a good team, but they're not. They're not invincible. They're definitely not invincible. I thought. Well, hold on. I think I'm gonna sneeze, guys. Bear with me here. I think I'm good. I think I'm done almost sneezing. But let's take a look at some comments here going through. We are live on the Second City Gridiron YouTube page and the Facebook page, as well as my Twitter X account at Jacob Infante 24. Let's take a look at some of these comments here in the live stream. So, if and in case you're joining late, if you're in the live stream and you can't listen to the whole thing, you could listen to it back on YouTube on the Second City Gridiron page, anywhere you get your podcasts as well. So let's talk. First, let's dive right into Evan Lepeau on X says leave Cairo and Hightower in Minneapolis. I mean, yeah, Cairo missed that one field goal, but all things considered, he went 4 for 5, and then he hit the last second field goal. I'm not mad with how Cairo performed. He should have made that one field goal, but that's all right. That's all right. Richard Hightower, the special teams, especially the coverage it's an issue at this point. I think that, Torrey Taylor, he's shown some encouraging flashes. He's a little too inconsistent. So I don't know. He's the one coach I don't necessarily feel great about. I feel good about Dennis Allen. I know some people tend to hate on him because, some of the games where they've allowed a bunch of points, like the Lions game and the Bengals game, but he's really not working with a lot in the secondary, and he's making it work. But especially the cornerback room. So kudos to Nashawn Wright picking up his 4th interception of the season, and Kevin Byard also had his 5th interception of the season. 2 picks, could have been 3. Tyreek Stevenson had one, but Brisker ran right into him. So it's a pretty, I don't know. I don't want to go through and nitpick. There's plenty of stuff to criticize when we'll be doing criticizing in the show. But I mean, the Bears won. Let's keep the let's keep the vibes up. So, Miz Cubs 23 on Twitter says was glad to see Caleb look a bit upset after the game. I still trust Ben Johnson and Caleb to get it figured out. And that is true. Actually, I noticed that as well, where, as both sides were, coming onto the field for post-game handshakes and everything after the field goal. Caleb didn't look happy. He didn't look satisfied. I can, I can assume that it's probably because he wasn't satisfied with how the offense performed. And yet they're still winning games. I think that there's very clear room for improvement with this offense. A lot of it is just catch the ball, catch the ball. As Rob mentions here in the Twitter chat, so many drop passes, and we had a couple of injuries from our corners, still pulled it off. So many drop passes. It was a problem last week. Uh, it was a problem this week. Last week, it's like, okay, it's, snowy Soldier Field. That's fine. If the drop passes are an issue inside in a dome, that's concerning. But the run game looks strong. Caleb had some encouraging. I think the intermediate throws look really good with Caleb. He's getting better. He looked better today as far as the short dump off, the flat screen stuff that have you get the snap and then immediately just chuck it out. His accuracy looked a little bit better in that. The deep ball is a problem. At least it was today. So that's something that's going to need to improve going forward. But they did just enough right on offense to pull away with the win. Uh, just enough on defense early in the game to keep the team in. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, a win's a win. That's all you can, that's all you can ask for, especially at this juncture of the season. So, Graham Small says, Komet been so much meaner this year. I fucking love it. I honestly agree. I think we're seeing definitely an aggressive edge in Cole Komet, and it's kind of exciting to see because I mean, they're using him as a blocker a lot more. They've used him as an inline tight end a good amount. They've used him as a fullback, like an offset sort of H back as well sometimes. But uh, he's blocking with a nasty demeanor, and there are a couple catches he had in this game against the Vikings where again, he was able to just battle through and just keep trucking dudes and running over them, battling to pick up extra yardage. I mean, it was, I was impressed with what I saw from him. He led with 5 catches today at 45 yards as well. So definitely, it's very encouraging stuff coming from him, especially when you have Colston Loveland in the situation, have him in the mix. He's getting more snaps than, he did earlier in the year. A veteran tight end can be, he has the right to be upset if he wants to be. But the fact that he's being a professional and not only embracing his role, but excelling and trying really hard in that role, I think it says a lot about him. So that's he deserves a lot of credit for that as well. Uh, so I'm pretty happy with how that's all turning out. My father, Steve Infante, Bears know how to win now. It's been since the early 2000s since that energy existed in Chicago. So I'll say that the last like 2 years or so, there have been a lot of really close games. And under Matt Eberflus, they were, the Bears were competitive in a lot of games. Like more often than not, the point differential wasn't very high, but the Bears just couldn't get it done. Now you're starting to see a little bit of the same. It's growth. It's not, oh, they're beating every team. They're scoring 40 points and limiting them to 10. That's, it's not the case, but they're remaining competitive. But the fact of the matter is they're converting. And look, I'm going to say I don't think this was Ben Johnson's best game as an offensive play caller. I think there were a couple instances uh, where you could argue he should have gone for it on 4th down instead of settling for the field goal. I mean, obviously it worked out in the end, but especially the field goal that Cairo missed, which I mean it's easy to say on the one he missed, but there's another one that he made that was from 4th and 3 out. The Bears were in favorable field position. I would have liked to see them go for it, but at the same time, I think that they're winning these games. It speaks to the culture. It speaks to the mentality that this team has, where they're never out in any game. And I think they said on the broadcast on Fox that Caleb Williams leads the league in game-winning drives this year. Here's another one. I mean, granted, it was run the ball a couple times after a great Devin Duvernay kick return. That was huge, by the way. I don't think enough people are going to be talking about that coming away from it. Because Duvernay, he's been okay. He's been okay this year. But he came through when it mattered most. Got them in a great situation to be competitive, and then they picked up just enough yards that they needed to win the game. Obviously, so not going to complain about that for sure. Logan Dunn mentions as well, settling for the punt late was questionable as well. Ben can improve, but good to see the team come together and pull through. I agree. Uh, I think there's a lot that can be said about the Bears' special teams, and not a lot of it is positive. Uh, but whether that comes down to coaching, which I tend to believe it does come down to coaching, especially for special teams, where something like that, there's a little bit more about the X's and O's than the Jimmies and Joes. But one way or another, again, it all worked out. This team has an undying spirit. Literally they're never going to roll over. Where it seemed like last year, 2 years ago, even 2022, where the Bears, it just felt like they'd given up, and they trot out, not to make it a quarterback thing, they trot out Justin Fields in the Luke Getsy offense, or even last year when Caleb Williams came out in the Shane Waldron offense, and it's like, all right, I don't believe that we're going to win this game. That's generally the mentality that was going through my head. I know, but that's changed. That's changed this year, and even in this one where I was like, oh my god, they blew the lead. This sucks. Even this year, I was like, all right, let's see how they find their way out of this one, because these last couple games, they've been able to just barely scratch away with the win. And like I keep saying, when you're in a playoff race, when you're firmly in that sort of situation, uh, you need to buy in. You need to buy in, and you need to win. The Bears have done that. So, uh, absolutely huge. Let's see. So we have a couple. There's another question not related to football. Tell us your Portillo's order. You a big beef guy, cheeseburger, dog, shake? Chat needs to know. Uh, all right. So I want to bring that up as well. Talk a little bit about Portillo's. Definitely more the dogs. I think is the way to go. Uh, my case specifically, uh, I like to order a side of onion rings over the fries more so. I'll get cheese fries sometimes, but I usually go with the onion rings just because I feel like that's more consistent. And I mean, look, if you're going to Portillo's, you're not eating healthy, right? You're accepting, all right, this is going to be a cheat meal. You're not going there for gourmet, whatever the hell, health food. Uh, I spaced out for a second because my screen door is open, and my window is open. I needed to make sure my cat didn't get out. Like the screen's there. The screen's there. I don't know why I checked. That's nuts. But yeah, chocolate cake shake, uh, and then a side of usually onion rings with Portillo's. I say that's probably the way to go. Haven't been to Johnny's though. I'll admit, Graham Small mentioned that live in the chat. Anyway, all right. So you came for Bears discussions. Now we're talking about Portillo's. I love it. Uh, if you have any other Portillo's questions and you're watching live here in the chat, feel free to send them my way. But otherwise, Logan Dunn says here in the chat, uh, good to see Burden get more involved than OZ this week. About time, MIZ, ZOU. So I definitely I agree that Luther Burden should be, and he was today, taking up more of those snaps that Olamide Zaccheaus had, and has had the last couple weeks. Luther had 3 catches for 27 yards, 5 targets, And Zacchaeus, he was out there. Zacchaeus was out there a little bit, but he didn't get targeted. So I think that shows a little bit more of the coaching staff's ability to be flexible, their ability to adapt, and their ability to hold people accountable. I think is the most impressive thing to take away from this. And I mean, I say impressive. I mean, you know, impressive by Bears standards, where you're seeing these coaches over the, with whether it's Nagy, Eberflus, Fox, Tressman, uh, inconsistency as far as how they hold guys accountable and how they adjust players' snap counts over the course of a season. If a player's playing well, giving them more playing time. If the player's not playing well, then taking them out of the lineup and cutting down their snaps. I think Ben Johnson's shown that he can do that. That he's flexible, and he rewards success. And if you don't succeed, then naturally you're going to see your reps cut down. So look, 3 catches for 27 yards. That's not an unbelievable game by any means. Like that sort of stat line isn't gonna wow anybody. It's not gonna win him any awards, but it's improvement. And I think he deserves a more steady role in this offense. So keep in mind, there have only been 5 games. So there have been 5 games this year now where Luther has had multiple receptions. Uh, he's had 1 catch in 4 games, 1 catch each in 4 games, I should say. And in the last 2 weeks, he was targeted 3 times against the Giants, targeted 5 times now against the Vikings. Even if he's not putting up like unbelievable receiving numbers, he's still been very efficient. He's been much more efficient than Zacchaeus out of the slot. So I think that it's very encouraging to see him stepping into a bigger role. Another question from Steve Infante, my father. Hello. Uh, what does Ben Johnson need to do better to make the Chicago Bears a Super Bowl contender? That's a good question. I don't know if they're a true Super Bowl contender with this roster. Uh, I think there's still some upgrades that need to be had, especially at left tackle, especially at edge rusher. But I'd say part of it is work with Caleb to find a way to get the deep ball working. I think that's one thing. The intermediate game in the Bears passing attack is really good right now. I think it's better than it's been in years, probably since Cutler, if I hazard a guess. Better than Trubisky in like that 10 to that 11 to 19 yard pass range. Better than Trubisky, better than Fields, uh, better than rookie year Caleb. So the improvement there is huge because that ability to consistently move the sticks is helping the Bears obviously score points and helping them win time of possession, move the ball down the field, wind the clock down. But the deep strike ability just hasn't been there this year. I think that you need to find a way to work with Caleb Williams and figure out, okay, what's the disconnect here? Is it a touch thing? Is it a chemistry thing? Is it a footwork thing? I know that sometimes Caleb's footwork can get a little spotty uh, on screens, on flats, on, bubble screens. I already mentioned screens. I'm just talking in circles now, but uh, his footwork can be a little erratic. So naturally the accuracy is erratic. I don't think it's as much of that from a deep ball perspective. So I'd say finding a way to unlock the deep ball, I think that's what would really put the Bears into a Super Bowl contender category. Obviously, I don't think they're there yet. If they were, they'd be winning these games by a lot more than 2 points, 4 points, 5 points. But wins are wins, 100%. So another question, Logan Dunn, are you of the same belief that Caleb needs to tone down the fastball to add more accuracy? That's a good question. I mean, on short passes, sure. On short passes, sure. I think in like across the middle of the field, especially, I think the fastball really works. And there are instances on, curl routes on the seam, on out routes, all across the board, where Caleb's strong arm allows him to hit it into tight windows, and he's shown that he can do it. He's shown that he can hit his targets well from that range. Uh, I do think sometimes he's got maybe a little too much mustard behind those shorter passes, and I mean, again, part of that just comes down to the footwork. I think that's the real issue with him. And the fact that he's still moving the ball down the field, the fact that he's still making plays, and the Bears offense has been, they weren't great today. They weren't even very good. But the fact that they're putting themselves in winnable positions uh, shows that there's something to work with there. So I think that at least down the field, the fastball isn't as applicable because those are, more lobs than anything. Uh, But I mean, I say keep the fastballs coming. I think that that's one of the things that Caleb does really well, and that separates him from a lot of the field is just, how strong his arm is, how elastic his arm is, and his ability to hit those, tight window throws. But yeah, I mean, again, in the short game, maybe tone it down a little bit, and then, the passing, the deep ball needs a lot of work. But regardless, I keep saying a win's a win. It's still very exciting. Uh, Andrew Zangry, what's up? On Twitter saying, Jacob, I'm going to need a Xanax prescription to continue watching this team. In all seriousness, though, it's refreshing to see the Bears pull out games like this when in the past we'd 100% lose. Lots of room to improve, but 7-3 bear the fuck down. Uh, well said. I mean, I think that it's it's always a good feeling when the Bears win a game like this, and I don't care. I mean, I kind of do care. Uh, the way how they win these games, and it makes for a lot more attentive watching when I'm, glued to the TV screen at every single play in the fourth quarter matters and counts towards whether it's going to be a win or a loss. It's I don't know. It's funny, honestly, how insane watching this team is. But like you said, it's in years past, these are all games the Bears would lose. Like we're talking this game, the Bears would have lost. They would have lost against the Bengals for sure. They would have lost against the Giants. They wouldn't have come back in that game. And the Raiders and Commanders, I feel pretty confident with an Eberflus team, they would have lost that too. Not even just factoring in the quality of coaching. Uh, not even just the quality of coaching, but also I think the culture and the mentality of this team is a lot different from how it was under Eberflus, and the competitiveness that these guys show. It stands out on tape every single week, and I mean you can even see that too, where you have guys, Swift and Monongai battling for every single yard they can get. A lot of the receivers after the catch, Luther, Komet, Colston Loveland, just running over guys, keep churning the legs, trying to pick up every single last yard they can get. And some of the offensive linemen joining in to push them from behind to pick up extra yards, keep the play alive. Uh, so yeah, you can tell it's not just a coaching thing, it's not just a personnel thing, it's also a culture and a mentality thing. Hallis Beer Hall, shout out to those guys. I know who's commenting right now. Uh, Hell of a guy. Good guy. What role do you see CJ Gardner Johnson in when Kyler and Jalen are back? What I would like to see is maybe the Bears run a little bit more big dime. If they can run a big dime formation, uh, that would be. I mean, so you're essentially you take one of the linebackers out. You run the nickel formation with the three cornerbacks, and then you put in an extra safety, like three safeties. You could do in a dime, obviously you could go four corners, but a big dime it's three corners, three safeties. I'd like to see CJ Gardner Johnson used in that kind of regard. Get him in the box, honestly, as a hybrid linebacker, hybrid safety, hybrid slot guy. Because he's too physical of a player to just have sitting on the sidelines or limit only to special teams. He's somebody who can, deliver the hit. He can blitz the passer better than most defensive backs. And, TJ Edwards, I think he has much better awareness in coverage than Noah Sewell does, but I think he has like a similar issue in that his agility is pretty average. So maybe there are going to be some instances where you want to take TJ Edwards out in coverage, you put in CJ instead, and you run Kyler Gordon, Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, uh, Kevin Byard, Jaquan Brisker, CJ Gardner Johnson as in that big dime package. And I know, CJ, he's a cornerback. He's a cornerback, but over the course of his career, he's, played both corner and safety. He's played everywhere, literally. Uh, so I think maybe treating him a little bit more in that kind of safety, big dime sort of hybrid role, I think would probably be the best bet to get him on the field. Uh, and I trust this team to figure it out. Uh, Andrew Zanger as well saying, Jacob, do you think the Bears have put on enough tape this year for my doctor to prescribe me a Xanax prescription? I think so. Uh, shit. I mean, I think they should be giving all of us free Xannies, honestly. So for what the Bears have put us through this year, having to deal with that, on I don't know. Let's get everyone high. I'm a proponent of that. Uh, Hallis Beer Hall says again, Jacob, do you think JJ McCarthy was thinking about us tackling him? Uh, Probably. So I'll say I never got to play against JJ McCarthy. So he went to he went to Nazareth in the Chicago area. For those of you in other markets who are listening and don't know the area, Nazareth is a big rival of Bennett Academy. That's where I went. Go Red Wings. And Bennett and Naz, they play in football every year. Naz kicks the shit out of us every time. They did this year too. Uh, but yeah, JJ, his freshman year, he played up with the sophomores, I believe. And then from sophomore, he played with varsity. I think when he was a sophomore, I was a senior. I didn't play football all 4 years. And by the time that he had come in, he was playing on JV as a freshman. He was the starting quarterback there. By the time that he had gotten into school, I stopped playing. I was uh, I don't know whatever the title you want to call it, student assistant coach thing, whatever the hell. Like I'd break down special teams tape with the special teams coach, and I'd be the guy taking film for the the coach's film, whatever. Uh, I never got to play against JJ McCarthy, but one of these guys on the House Beer Hall did, and he sacked JJ McCarthy. So I think that that's got to feel pretty good. That I don't know if I want to dox your full name. Uh, I don't know if you want that or not, but to know that Juice of the Hallis Beer Hall podcast has sacked 9, I think that's something to be proud of for sure. And my dad comes in and says, "You were just too good of a player. It just wasn't fair for you to play against JJ." I mean, I don't argue with that. I think that he would have been terrified by my illustrious magnetism and my intimidating figure. Nowadays, I have an intimidating figure, but it's because of obesity. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm not fat. I've lost like 20 pounds, dude. I'm loving life. I make these jokes. Thank you for no docs. My name is Matthew Kickle. Okay, so his name is not Matthew Kickle, but shout out Matthew Kickle. Shout out to him as well. Anyway, that probably made little to no sense for a majority of you. I apologize, but we just kind of went through a rabbit hole there talking about Chicago high school football and JJ's ties to the Chicago area. But on Sunday, Caleb Williams was the one to outperform JJ McCarthy. I'd argue, at least. Uh, they both went 16 for 32. Caleb threw for 193 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Also had 4 carries, 26 yards rushing. JJ had a touchdown, but he also had 2 picks. So, I mean, all things considered, like just off of the stat line, I'd say, Caleb outperformed JJ, but at the same time, uh, I think it showed on tape too. I think that, there were just a handful of stinkers across the middle of the field that McCarthy threw. I'm still a believer that maybe, he can turn things around. I think it's too early to call it off on McCarthy. Uh, Especially a guy who's, like built mentally in that way, but I can't sit here and say that he's ready, I guess. So we'll see. David Wheel in the chat saying Stevenson hurt now. Yes. So Tyreek Stevenson, he made a brief return in the fourth quarter uh, in this game against the Vikings. He wasn't out there for the entirety of that last drive, but I want to say it was like a hamstring or something. I don't have it in front of me. I know he played a couple snaps down the stretch in the fourth quarter after he got hurt, but he wasn't there in a full time role. Uh, I don't anticipate that's going to be anything too serious because they did bring him back into the game for a little bit. Uh, I'd say that's probably, he'll just be questionable. I'm no doctor. Again, I wouldn't consider myself a medical expert by any means. Uh, I probably know more about getting diseases than curing them, but I do think that I don't think it should be anything too serious with Stevenson. Brian Braddock in the chat. Uh, I hope I pronounced that right. I apologize if I didn't. Jacob, where was Austin Booker today? What can we do about our pass rush? Uh, that's true. So JJ McCarthy was not sacked once all game. And the pass rush was an issue. There wasn't much in the way of pressure. 5 quarterback hits. And I think Grady Jarrett, at least on first glance, I think Grady Jarrett had his best game of the season uh, in this game. There were a good handful of instances where I saw him pushing the pocket, generating, pressure up the middle, uh, which is encouraging because he's, missed time due to injury. And even when he's played, he's been kind of invisible. So to see him pop off on the screen today against the Vikings was very encouraging. But I think, I mean, look, the trade deadline's passed. The Bears didn't make any major moves. Treon Shoyinka, I mean, that's, it's a depth add. He's not necessarily transforming that defensive line, but you weren't expecting him to because that's a 7th and 6th round pick swap that you're, pulling off to get him. So uh, the Bears know what they were getting themselves into in this situation, and they probably knew what to expect. I think that going forward, maintaining the pass rush is making sure that you keep being creative with the blitz. And I think that's going to be helpful once Kyler Gordon comes back. I think that's going to be helpful when Jaquan Brisker continues to heal up from his back injury. I know he played today, but once he's back at full strength and he's not on the injury report anymore, I think you can unleash him, have him be a little bit more physical there as well. Uh, So yeah, Kyler Brisker and CJ Gardner Johnson. I think those guys are going to be key to get the blitz game going. Uh, because the defensive line, I hate to say it at this rate, I don't trust them to win with just a 4-man rush on a consistent basis. And I think they've shown that this year. Even before Dio got hurt, it was something they were struggling to get home to the quarterback on just 4 guys. But the ability to, dial up the pressure with scheme, I think is something that Dennis Allen usually does pretty well. I think he's overcome to the best of his abilities. Not so much today in the game against the Vikings, but I think that especially, in days where maybe Austin Booker doesn't show up, where Montez Sweat doesn't have any sacks. I mean, he seemed all right today, like not a world beater or anything. He didn't look like a top tier edge rusher like he's getting paid necessarily, but he has been pretty dang good in recent weeks. So I will give him that. Uh, in any case, I think that's your answer to what to do about the pass rush. There's only so much you can do right now. There's nobody you can add off the street who's going to play at a Pro Bowl level. So your best hope, in my opinion, is just dial up the blitz. And once you have your cornerbacks back, once you have Jalen back, once you have Kyler back, hopefully you feel a little bit more comfortable with having those corners in a position to make plays on the ball, uh, to make the right read and to take advantage of any potential like errant quick throws that might come as a result of a blitz. Uh, but even then, though, Nashawn Wright has shown that he has 4 interceptions this year. Like he's making plays on the ball. He's been inconsistent in coverage. Don't get me wrong. Uh, I I texted someone over the course of the game that he gets beat 4 out of 5 times he gets targeted, but it feels like, but that one time that he doesn't get beat, it's an interception. And I mean, it's boom or bust. It's a boom or bust play, but he has the ability to make plays in key circumstances. Case in point, the interception he had today. And I'm very happy for him. I know his coach, from Last Chance U fame, recently passed away, and I know they had a really strong relationship. That was just a couple days ago, and then Wright was visibly emotional after the pick, which I thought it was really cool for him to have that moment. Uh, and then yeah, Logan Dunn mentions in the chat here feels like he's Diggs from the Cowboys. LOL. Yeah, I mean he's Nashawn Wright. He's at least at this stage he's great value brand Trayvon Diggs, which, hey, it can be good. It can be really good from time to time. Just not necessarily the most consistent. Another question: how's beer hall? I'm going to take a sip of water because my throat is dry. If anyone has any other ideas of how to make my throat less dry, I'd love to read them in the comments and read them out loud with your name attached. There you go. God, I love being hydrated, don't you? It's the best. The more I get older, just the more water I drink. And I realize a lot of you listening to this are probably like, when you're older, oh my God, you're like, aren't you like 12? It's like, yeah, but I'm getting up there. I'm getting my aches and pains and everything. And, uh, but yeah, water's the best. Anyway, would Monangai's success prevent the Bears from drafting another running back? I don't think so. Because I think I don't get the sense that the Bears would. I mean, this is way down the line. Swift is still under contract through the 2026 season, and then I think it expires in 2027 in that offseason. So that's 2 off seasons from now is when he'd be a free agent. A lot can change between then and now. I expect that a lot will change between then and now, but I don't get the sense that he's gonna be here for 10 years. Just naturally, that doesn't happen at the running back position. It's rare for a running back to get 2 major contracts over the course of their career, both from the same team. So I don't know. I think Monangai specifically has been good. I can't sit here and say, oh yeah, he's a superstar. He's the running back one of the future. I feel comfortable saying that he's a good complementary back. I hesitate to say anything more than that right now just because it's a small sample size. Uh, so I don't think so. I think if the Bears do draft another running back, he'd still factor into the rotation probably. I mean, obviously it depends on who you're picking and when you're picking them, but I don't think that Monangai being a decent rotational piece is going to prevent them from drafting another running back. Maybe it makes it less of a need for sure, and it makes it less pressing of okay, it would be really great if we came away here from the first 2 rounds with a running back. I don't think you necessarily need to do that, especially as the Bears keep winning games. Like they're not going to be in range realistically for Jeremiah Love. Uh, I think any team that drafts him is a team that's going to finish the years with fewer wins than what the Bears already have right now. And then, you have Jonah Coleman out of Washington, who's really good. Justice Haynes out of Michigan, who's really good, but he's hurt. He's out for the year. We'll see how that affects his stock, if any. Uh, but yeah, I think that you really don't need to draft a running back early. Uh, maybe you keep Swift. I don't think it's as much of a foregone conclusion that he's gone with how he's played this year. He's been a lot better than he was last year for sure. Uh, I think the Bears draft another running back to push for, Roshan for his job and, with Travis Homer dwelling in like that special team sort of only role. But no, I don't think that Monanga's play puts a limit on, all right, we're just not going to draft a running back. Branson, my glorious Jacob. What player jersey should I buy for my 3-year-old? Awesome. So that's a good question. I mean, I don't have any current Bears jerseys because I just keep getting burned every single time. Uh, I got one for Khalil Mack that worked out really well for a while, and then they traded him. Uh, I had a Trubisky jersey that worked out for a couple games in 2018 and then aged that poorly. I got a Justin Fields jersey that looked really good for a couple games in late season 2022 when he was running over everybody, but obviously aged poorly. I'd say right now, maybe Odunze. Honestly, Odunze or Jalen Johnson. I think Jalen Johnson would be a good jersey too. I don't know who your 3-year-old's favorite player is. I know that when I was growing up, I liked. I mean, it was different because I grew up with Urlacher and Briggs and Hester's. Some of the flashier names were uh, more on defense or special teams, but I feel like a lot of the younger kids would really like an offensive player. So if you want to do that, then go with Dunze. I think a Dunze would be a nice jersey. I mean, he's the wide receiver one. I feel more confident in him sticking around for a while than I do with, like a DJ Moore, so to speak. But yeah, I'd say go Odunze or Jalen Johnson. Go with one of those two, and I think you should be okay. So I hope your 3-year-old enjoys uh, whatever jersey you end up buying him or her. Uh, House Beer Hall Fozzie Whitaker jersey would be a good option too. If you want, yeah, sure. That would be the most insane pull of a 3-year-old of all time to wear a Fozzie Whitaker jersey to preschool. I mean, just imagine that. Uh, if I were a preschool teacher, I'd be like, dude, that kid knows ball, or at least his parents do. I mean, if you have a Fozzie Whitaker jersey, you're a true sicko. Uh, Branson Odunze is solid. Thanks, bro. Of course. I hope to see a picture of that jersey whenever it comes in. That would be pretty sweet. Logan Dunn, best Mizzou bar. All right, so I'll take a quick sidebar. Get it? It's bar. Yeah, fucking kill me. But anyway, best Mizzou bar. I'm gonna say I'm a Harpo's guy. I'm Harpo's over Willie's 10 times out of 10. I don't know. Willie's, I think, was just way too crowded. It's way too long of a line to get in. It's, charged with, the cover was usually pretty crazy. I mean, Harpo's is pretty crazy too, usually, but I like, I felt like there's more room, more opportunity. I mean, you're not socializing, like having in-depth, deep conversations at either bar just because it's so loud. Uh, but I think there's a lot more space at Harpo's. I really like the rooftop part of the bar. Uh, Yeah, I'd go Harpo's for sure. I got kicked out of Harpo's one time because I threw up in a trash can. Bad, bad memories from that at least. And that same night, I stumbled and walked my way back home to my apartment. Uh, I went into the bathroom. I tried to, puke in the toilet. I missed the toilet. I threw up all over my walls. I fell asleep in the bathroom on the ground, and then I woke up and I had a massive hangover, and I had to scrub the dried puke off the walls. So yeah, Harpo's will always have a special spot in my heart. Also, shout out though, the understudy. I like the understudy. I think that's another good spot where it's a little bit more chill if you want to sit down and get a table there, play some of the games and stuff like that. Understudy's pretty sweet, so that's a close second, but Harpo's is probably my favorite. Uh, MIZ Cubs 23 Harpo's got to be number one. I'm with you. I'm with you for sure. And my dad says, well, so Andrew Zangri's enjoying it. Logan Dunn, hidden gem, and my dad says, I'm so proud to know that. Yeah, so that doesn't happen as much anymore. Just so you guys know, my partying days are few, but there you go. Uh, let's get back to the Bears here. Andrew's angry. Jacob, just curious, realistically, what record do you think the Bears can finish with this season? And then he says in another comment, we could split with Green Bay. Detroit sweeps us. We'd probably lose to Philly and San Francisco. Thoughts? I think I think you win three more games. I think they go 10-7. And if it might be Green Bay. I think it you either if you win either Green Bay or San Francisco, I think one of those two games the Bears will win. I couldn't say which one. I'm really not sure. I also think the Bears will lose one game against the Packers too. So I think they can beat Pittsburgh. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is hurt, so we'll see how that all turns out. If Mason Rudolph is going to be coming to Soldier Field next week, I'll be there at that game. So if you guys see me, say hi, or just don't pour any beer over me or anything. Uh, but anything else is fine. I think they can beat the Steelers. I think it's definitely a winnable game. I'm not going to say they're going to win, but it's definitely winnable. Cleveland is winnable, definitely. Uh, you win those two games, you're at 9-8. And then I think between Detroit, Philly, two Packers games, and the 49ers, I think you win one of those games. I think you definitely come out of that stretch with a less than 500 record. I don't think you win because that's what? One, two, three, four, five. That's five. I know how to count, guys. You couldn't see, but I was using my fingers like a child because I don't know. I'm not very smart these days. As far as counting goes, as far as counting in regards to numbers. But yeah, I think 10-7. That's what I'm going with right now. I think the Bears win one of their Packers games or they beat the 49ers. I think that and then Steelers and Browns. I think that gets them at 10-7. So if they look competitive against the Eagles, they look more competitive against the Lions. I mean, that game's going to be at Soldier Field, so that should probably help too. So it wouldn't be like a massive blowout like the one at Ford Field, knock on wood. Uh, but yeah, 10-7 is what I'm going with. I'd love for them to be 11-6. I obviously I don't think they're going to finish the rest of the season undefeated. I think they have at least three losses ahead of them with how tough their schedule is, and just the fact that they haven't beaten some of these teams an like super convincingly has me think that they come out of that with more losses than wins. But yeah, I'm gonna say they win three more games. 10-7's the final. That should be enough to make it to the wild card, but I don't know. I mean, obviously the Seahawks were 10-7 last year. They missed the playoffs. They're probably going to do much better than 10-7 this year, and they're probably going to make the playoffs. So, really, if you can outdo the 49ers, I think that that's key. It would also obviously help if the 49ers started losing a couple games, if the Packers start losing a couple games. So yeah, I say 10-7. And he follows up Andrew's angry saying, I think that's fair. Going into the season, we'd all be happy with 10-7. So I'm with you. I'm with you for sure. Uh Hallis Beer Hall says, Jacob, do you think JJ McCarthy is the Vikings long-term quarterback? I think it's too early to tell, honestly. Uh Especially with him missing the entire year and how, the games that he's missed this season is such a small sample size. Look, do the Vikings probably wish that they had a better uh, record than they do right now? Probably. Do they think that would they want better performance out of JJ McCarthy? Probably. Uh, but I think going into the season, you kind of knew this guy's pretty he's inexperienced from an NFL perspective. Even at Michigan, he was asked more to manage the game more so than take over. There's going to be a learning curve. There's definitely been a learning curve for him from an accuracy perspective, uh, and from a mental perspective. I think there's a chance that he can still be their long term quarterback. I'd say the momentum isn't very hot right now, but again, there's a lot of time left for him to turn that around. So we'll see. I wish the best for the guy. I hope that whatever happens, he never wins against the Bears for the rest of time. The rest of it, nothing against the guy. Seems like a good dude, uh, or at least a hard worker, So he follows me, so he's got good taste. I definitely, and I do follow him back, obviously, because it's a starting quarterback in the NFL. Why would I not? And he also torched the Bennett Academy Red Wings in 2018. So yeah, I doubt JJ is watching my wrap it up recap here on Twitter and the Second City Gridiron YouTube and Facebook page, but a lot of you are. So thank you. As of right now, we are currently the top Bears related stream going on Twitter/X right now, which again, I don't take for granted. I'm very grateful. All of you will listen to me just sitting here with a laptop sitting at my kitchen table with this big ass clock behind me. No fancy equipment or nothing, no, studio microphone or anything. Just guys, it's just me talking ball and ultimately taking your questions, giving you guys an opportunity to share your thoughts as well. Uh, it means a lot. There are a lot of shows out there, so I'm grateful that all of you are here with this one, with the Jakester. So, uh, anyway, I say going forward, next week is going to be against the Steelers, and that's where I guess I'll transition into Jacob Infante's happy ending. So, close your eyes, open your mouth. Here it comes. Here's a little heavy heavy load of positivity for you all. Uh, was I don't know if that was a good bit or not. I really don't. That's the thing. I don't have I have an audience here, but there's no studio audience. There's no immediate feedback of oh ha 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 he made a joke about sex. Uh, so I don't know if I just look like an absolute idiot right now or if anybody's laughing. So uh, that overthinking and that lack of clarity will haunt me until the day I die. But it feels really good to be winners of three straight after dropping that Ravens game and ending the 4-game winning streak. 7-3 is huge. I can't say that enough. Just how important that's going to be down the stretch. Winning these games, no matter how ugly. Like you don't get into the postseason off of point differential. You get in there off of wins. Excuse me. Oh, the the Burger King I had at midnight last night is coming back to haunt me. So the demons of fast food royalty. So anyway, Kirabel, here we go. I thought that was funny. My wife was very confused hearing that after I said I was listening to a Bears recap. I am so sorry to your wife that you had to hear that, or yeah, that you had to hear that. So I hope you guys are doing well. Obviously, good to see you. But man, that's a tough look explaining that to the wife. What would you say? Oh, he's just some pervert who talks about football on Twitter. Uh, I guess that's your best bet. That's your best bet to explain that to her. So there you go, I guess. But yeah, now you go into a winnable Steelers game, and you're at 7 wins right now. You've already tied the most that Matt Eberflus ever had as head coach of the Bears, and it's the middle of November. They're, knock on wood, going to win more games. You're only 2 wins away from finishing above 500. That's the first time they'd have finished above 500 since I believe 2018. I know the Bears, they made the wild card in 2020. I don't remember what their record was, so let me check. Yeah, 2020 they were 8-8 and they lost in the wild card. That was the last year of the 16-game season. It would be if the Bears win 2 more games of the do the math, 7 games that are left. If they win 2 of the 7 games that are left in this season, the Bears are going to finish above 500. And I think that if you told anybody that we'd be in this situation as Bears fans where our team is performing or they're winning games at the frequency that they are, I think everybody would be happy with that. I don't think there's a single person that would say, I was expecting more. Like 7-3, that's a tough record to come by. Uh, and like if I've kept saying throughout the course of the show, when you're in, especially when you're in a playoff race, when you're in a competitive division, when you're in a competitive conference like the NFC, where there's no guarantee that 10-7 is going to be enough to make the playoffs. Every win counts. Every game counts. So I think that's the important thing to take away from this is the Bears just find a way to keep on winning, and that speaks to the culture. That speaks to the mentality these guys have. It's night and day from last year, and even if the execution isn't always perfect, it definitely isn't. There's a lot I can say about the offense from this week that I mentioned a little bit of today. The special teams definitely has been a problem. And the defense has had some inconsistency throughout the course of the year. It's not a finished product by any means, but it's a much better product. It's a much better football team than what we've seen the last couple seasons. And a lot of the core is the same, honestly. I mean, the offensive line is pretty drastically different, but a lot of the defense is the same. A lot of the weapons are the same. Uh, and your quarterback is the same too. I think above all else. And you're winning these games now. You're turning those close calls into victories. And will they continue this the rest of the season? Who knows? Who knows? Will they reach double digit wins? Who knows? If they make it to the playoffs, who knows? But they're better. They're much better. They're a better football team. They're not a perfect football team, but they're a better football team. Good, better, best. Never let it rest till your good gets better and your better gets best. Now uh I'm going to best uh all over my screen right now with how excited I am about the Bears beating the Minnesota Vikings. Good segue. 1917, the Chicago Bears are 7-3. I want to say thank you to everybody tuning in, dealing with my disgusting, childish jokes. Thank you for amusing me. And thank you for, I have to go, I want to go back and check like the Facebook and the YouTube analytics. I couldn't tell you exactly off the top of my head where that's at right now. But I do want to say thank you at least for making this. I'm never going to say I'm the best at anything. I'm never going to say I'm the best at anything. But statistically speaking, it's the top post game show on X. So uh, I'm not saying it's the best, but statistically, it's at the top. And that's all because of you guys. I can't do any of this without every single one of you. And I use this as an opportunity to stroke my fragile ego and remind myself that I have value. But it also speaks to the Bears community. I'm really appreciative for every single one of you guys. That's going to do it for Wrap It Up with Jacob Infante. Thank you all for tuning in. This has been a wonderful show. Uh, the Bears are 7-3, winners of 3 straight. They're firmly in position to make the playoffs. They just got to execute. But if this Bears team has showed us anything, it's that when the chips are down, when their backs are against the wall, they're able to come away. They're able to come away and pick up the win when they need it most. So I'm pretty confident that things are going to work out okay, one way or another. So that'll do it. We're just short of an hour. Appreciate all you guys for tuning in. If you missed anything, you can check it out on Spotify, on Apple, YouTube, Facebook, X, everywhere you listen to podcasts. So Thank you all for tuning in. The Chicago Bears are 7-3. Bear down.